They called her Chelsea the Rabbit because of her two front teeth that grew in huge and white, like the kick me signs other kids used to post on her back. She didn't have a mouth so much as a bullet hole, and there were more craters on her skin than in all the asphalt of Belfast, Ireland. The word pathetic comes to mind. Her arms were too skinny to crucify. Legs, merely crutches used to hobble the car wreck of her face. Her father was a drunk driver, her mother a bent signpost, so her eyes were the color of cracks in a windshield, often shattered by the head-on collisions of their fists. She was ugly, but it was those teeth that made her special. So huge and white, you'd swear if you look close enough, you'd see Tom Sawyer hanging on with a paintbrush. Like two massive marble gravestones jutting out of the burial plot of her mouth, one for each syllable of her name that no one bothered to resurrect in the first place. When she smiled, the glare was so overpowering that people couldn't stand to look at her when she was happy, so they didn't. And she didn't. The only way she could get other kids to play with her was by drawing a red square on her teeth and hoping they'd mistake her for a basketball hoop. She had the world's largest collection of torn jump ropes and had never seen the sky. Chin weighed too heavy by the leftover chunks of Stonehenge it looked like she was chewing on. They'd sing, buck teeth, piano keys, Cheshire cat, shovel mouth, rabbit face, snaggle tooth, rat. Now God doesn't make mistakes, just occasional acts of vandalism. And some people are walking graffiti. Their feet treading the earth with the loneliness of shoes strung from power lines, never leaving their mark. Their tragedies bearing no wisdom, just fucked up faces and a collection of memories like broken windows. They have no answers, no scripture in their back pockets, and no balloons on their birthday parties. So Chelsea, she reached for the next best thing. The box of Trojans behind her mother's bed. Blew them up, wrote SOS on each one, roped them together with their torn jump ropes, and then dragged herself to the roof of her house, waiting, like a dandelion seed on the toe of a dying soldier's combat boot for his death rattle to blow her away. And maybe an angel farted. Maybe the universe laughed at her a little too hard this time. But in either case, with just enough of its wasted breath, her tiny fist did begin to rise, like a revolution of ugly, until her toes hangmen leapt from the earth. At first, just an inch, then a foot. And above her house were the power lines where her shoes hung, and treetops, and birds, and clouds, and finally, just sky. And with each new sight, her laughter rose like the squeak of a rusted swing set chain that hadn't been played on in years, until it shook her body with such violence that her tiny fingers began to slip, one by one, until they could hold her no longer, and she let go. Buck teeth, piano keys, Cheshire cat, shovel mouth, rabbit face, snaggle tooth. Now, she must have looked like an emaciated sardine hooked on the end of God's fishing line. The handle from one of those jump ropes wedged between her two gigantic teeth, keeping her alive and afloat. And looking up for the first time in her life, she wore a shit-eating grin as big and bright as the face of that warm sun she was slowly approaching. A face that, for the first time, did not look away.